Hi, and congratulations on the purchase of your new X50. We're super excited for you. We know there's a lot of options at the moment on the road. So this video is just because there is a lot of information. We're gonna go over it when you buy the car, but this is something that you can always go back to and check. But don't forget that we're always in the showroom or in the service department. There's always someone around. So if you have any questions, don't stress about having to go back and watch the video. You can always pop by or give us a shout. But this is just an extra tool for you. Okay, here's your key. You'll get 2 of these. It's obviously a remote push button start, all of that. In each of these keys though, you'll see, you can push this little button and there is one actual key. That is for the keyhole in the door. In case the battery was dead or something like that, you can use that key to get into the door. That's the only thing that it does. You have lock, trunk unlock, unlock the whole car, and remote start. So the trunk unlock is if you we're just gonna lock it. If you're out shopping and you're coming back to the car and you wanna just unlock the trunk to put your stuff in, you can do that. That way nobody could open up your car doors or anything. Luckily in Bermuda we're quite safe, we don't have to worry about that, but there is that option. Lock and unlock, and then this car also comes with remote start. So if it's a hot day, you wanna start your car before you go out to get the AC up and running, you hold this. You push the lock button twice, and then you hold down this circle button. You're gonna hold it down for longer than you think you have to, because you're gonna think it doesn't work, but there you go. The car is started. Okay, so there is a remote unlocking and locking feature as well. You don't have to use the key. You can leave the key in your pocket or your purse. As I approach the car, it's locked. When I touch the handle, it will unlock the car. There's this feature on this door and the passenger door. When you get out of the car, again, you don't need to take the key out to lock it. With the remote, you can just put your finger here. It is a bit finicky for the locking, just so you know, but we find it works better with your pointer finger. And then the car's locked and you can walk away. So as you saw from the locking and unlocking, these wing mirrors close when you lock the car and open when you unlock the car automatically. With this model, there's also a camera in here for the 360 camera. So that's one of the things that makes up your 360 view. And there's a small light projector. So when you unlock or lock the car at night, it will project the Proton emblem onto the ground. On the front of the car, you can see the headlamps are full LED, but these kind of rope lights are your running lights. Those you cannot turn off. So I know some people are like, oh, how do I? But they stay on, it's for safety. Down here are your front sensors that you can see. This little thing right here you'll see is a little cap that goes over the tow hook cover. So should the car ever need to be towed in its lifetime, you just unhook that. Most of the tow truck drivers are familiar, but just so you know what it is. Here's your gas door. So like all of the doors, including the boot and all 4 doors, when the car is locked, this is locked. So if I go up to it, I can't open it. But when you unlock the doors, it's now unlocked. You push it, it's spring-loaded. Coming around to the back of the car, you'll see the little sensors everywhere. These are your parking sensors. You have 2 exhaust tips on both ends. Those are actual exhaust. They're not just the decorative tips. In the middle is the red light, and that is your rear fog light. When we go inside, we'll talk about the fog lights and the switches and stuff for them, but that's what that red light is in the back. Here's your reverse camera. It's one of the ones that makes up the 360. And this is the button to unlock the trunk. So on the remote, as I showed you, we have the trunk unlock button. So I can push that and the trunk is unlocked. Or when I have the key in my hand, this is also just a touch sensor. So you, again, don't have to take the key out of your purse if you don't want to. You touch it and it will open because you have the key and you are in close proximity. So now the car is locked. All the doors are locked. If somebody doesn't have the key, they can't get it open. Okay, so now we're in the trunk. Here you'll see the 2 tethers. So if you have a car seat with the ISOFIX, it comes around and locks into here. Then we have under here is your spare tire. You can see that it's all nestled in with your tools and all of that, so it's not going to make a huge noise. This is what you put under those little toe caps if you ever needed to have it towed. Again, anybody who would have to do that knows about all of this stuff. This spare tire is not an alloy rim like the rest of them. So it is just an emergency, what they kind of call a donut, to get you where you need to go to get your tire fixed. So now we go to the doors. In all of the passenger doors, the front passenger and the rear passengers, and even the driver, you'll see that there's nothing here to pull up or push down to lock or unlock the car. So that's controlled by the driver, the locking and the unlocking. If you're sitting in the back and you want to get out, you pull it once, that unlocks the car. You pull it twice and the door will open. You actually will start to get used to it, and you do that to get out of the car. There's obviously all 4 power windows here. And in the backs, this is your child lock. You'll see there's a little slit. So you just take the key that I showed you earlier, you can put that in there and turn it, and then it'll be child locked and you won't be able to open it from the inside at all. You can also put a screwdriver or anything. It doesn't specifically have to be that key, but that's just designed so that the kids cannot then turn it off themselves. Here's the driver's door. So you have speakers in the driver's door. Come to the handle, it's the same thing. If the door was locked, you can just pull it twice, once to unlock, once to get out. Here we have the controls for the wing mirrors. So this works like a switch. So you would switch it to R, and now you're going to control the right wing mirror like a joystick. So up, down, back, forward, however you'd like to do it. And then if you come to the 0, that's a neutral position. So if you knock it, nothing's gonna happen. And then the left, you can imagine, is the same thing. It's just like a joystick, however you want it. Now up here, if you turn it all the way to the top, it will fold the mirrors in themselves. So when you're driving, apparently you have to be stopped to do that. But if you need to fold the mirrors while you're not parked, you can do that automatically like that. And then when you turn it back down like a dial, they'll open back up. This button locks and unlocks all of the doors. You heard the beep go off. I'll show you inside. We can control that as well. This controls all 4 windows. All 4 of these windows have automatic ups and downs. So on all 4, you can just push once and it'll go up or down. They also, because they have that, they have what's called an anti-trap feature. So if you pull it up and an arm or something gets stuck in there, it's going to close back down. So that's just a safety feature that's on all 4 of these windows. This locks the windows so that only you have control of it. I think we've all been in cars where kids are up and down with the windows. So this is your control, that they cannot do that. This is just a cool little feature. In all of the little mats inside any of these holes can come out for cleaning. So you'll be happy to know that when dirt gets in there. And then it just pushes right back in. This is just handy to know. Here tells you the PSI for your tires and what it should be. Going to the seat, this seat is fully electric. So if you think of this as a reflection of the seat, we can go forward or backwards, and then also down and up. So it tilts as well as slides. And then this would be the backrest of the seat. You go back and forward. So you can kind of figure out how you like it. And there you go. So here is, if you need to pop your bonnet, you just pull this. And as you can see down here, there's nothing to pop your gas or pop your trunk, which people are kind of used to looking down here. But as I said, they're all controlled by the door locks. Okay, so there's 3 controls on this side of the car. This one, they're all dials. They don't actually look like it, but so this dial controls the tilt of your headlamps, not your high beams. That's something totally different. This is just your regular everyday headlamps when it's dark, but you can control the tilt. So you can move it down if you feel like they're a bit high, or you can move it up. This is your internal dimmer. It goes up and down, and it controls the brightness of this panel. So if you're sensitive to light at night, you can turn it up or down. This only functions when your headlamps are on. So it's totally just a dark nighttime type feature. This button here is for what's we kind of commonly known as traction control, but they call it the electronic stability. It's normally on. That's the default, is that it stays on. If you hold this button down, it will turn it off. And then it comes up on the dash that it's off, and you can see this little light that looks just like the button down here. You would only need this on if you're in a very sandy area and you need some traction to get out of there, or if you have your spare tire on, you would turn that off because you don't want the car to trying to stabilize itself when one wheel is smaller than the others. But besides that, this is something you really don't have to worry about. So just to be clear, when you hold this button down, it turns the ESC off. So when this little light is on, traction control is off. So coming inside the vehicle, we have the two shades. Both of them have mirrors. This one is really important. They just want to remind you twice that there are airbags in the front, so not to put baby seats in the front because the airbags can be very dangerous for little people, or especially in car seats. There's an airbag that comes right out of the dash, and then there's also curtain airbags on the side. Then we have here is your lights. This little light is the door light. So if there's the little indicator lights on, that's like a typical what we're used to if you open the door, the interior lights come on. So you can turn that on or off. Most cars had like on, off, or door. That's that option. These are your two interior lights. There's not one main light. They're LED and they're super bright. So in the States, they would call them map lights. This is just like a regular rear view mirror. You can do this if somebody's got their high beams in your eyes. Okay, this little bump up here is for your automatic headlamps. So when it goes dark, I'll just put my hand over, you see the headlamps come on. So this is the sensor that tells the car when they need to come on. So you can just put it on auto and you never have to turn them on or off. As you see, they've gone off now because my hand's not over it. Now we're gonna go over this head unit and all of the features that are controlled there. Okay. Here we have the head unit that controls a bunch of your stuff. This is the home screen. From this home screen, you have little snowflakes. You can push them and you can control the AC temperature from right there. You can also push this and go directly to the music. You push him to come back to your home screen. And there's a little drop down, just like a phone. Honestly, this is so much like a phone that has a couple little things here. So the Wi-Fi, don't worry about, because unfortunately in Bermuda, we can't get these with the Wi-Fi. In other countries, they come with their own Wi-Fi. Unfortunate, I know. Oh, there you go. So that mutes and unmutes. This is, you can turn on and off your Bluetooth. Touchscreen sound, you can turn it off from this motion. I always tell people it's good to have it on, at least at first, until you get used to it, because then you know if you're driving that you've touched something. Speed sensitive volume adjustment, honestly, is just normally for highways. So if you're driving along and it's really loud because you're on a highway, then you're gonna wanna use that. So this is, you don't really need this. This is your screen brightness, and this is the volume of the car. This auto mirror folding after the car locks. So as you saw from the outside, when you lock the car, it'll fold the mirrors. You can turn that on or off in this little quick menu right here. So this is just your little quick screen. You can swipe this way, and if you had any notifications, they would be there. But this is your kind of normal base right here. Here, we're gonna go to the apps. Again, unfortunately, a lot of these are kind of superfluous here. Weather does not work because it doesn't have its own internet. Also the member center, no, because it doesn't have its own internet. And then we have phone. So here's where we're gonna come to connect your phone to Bluetooth. Make sure on your phone that you've gone into Bluetooth and that it is, I mean, I have an Android, but that it is searchable. So we're gonna go Bluetooth settings. The device, on this, you can actually turn Bluetooth on and off. So make sure that the little green thing is on, because if not, it's not gonna work. Device name, you can change to whatever you want. If you give your car a name, you say what it is, but it's gonna start as Proton. And then we're going to search. And because my thing is there, There you go, Amy's S21. I'm gonna click it, it's pairing. And then on my phone, it's gonna say yes. So I just say yes. And then it could come up again and say, do you wanna allow this car to access all your info? So there you go, allow. That's on an Android, but you know, if you have an iPhone, it's very much the same. And now my phone is connected. So I can go home. When I click on phone now, there's all of my phone calls that I've made. I'll go quickly. The phone calls that I've ignored. And then my contacts are all there. And I can also dial from there. When your phone is connected, you also have the option of using voice command. So in this cart, there's a couple of ways that you can get to voice command, but for right now, I'm just gonna show you the saying it. So I can say, hey Proton.
I'm here.
Call Rayclan.
Do you want to call Rayclan? You can also choose from the list.
Yes.
Okay, calling Rayclan.
And there you have it. So once your phone is hooked up, you can just tell her, make sure that you say what you have the person in as your contacts. So you can make calls by dialing, you can make calls from your contacts, or you can ask her to do it for you. The next thing is media. So if you push this, you have music or radio. So right now we'll do radio. The favorites are programmed in here, but you can change that by just clicking or unclicking this little heart if you have different favorites. So one cool feature about this is you can push this button and it will scroll through the stations, listen to it for 5 seconds, and then move along if you don't decide you want to listen to that. So you can scroll like this manually. You can also do it on the steering wheel. We'll look at that later when we're looking at the steering wheel. But if you push this, it will stop. And you can see it counting down. And if you said, no, I don't want that, it'll go to the next one. Once it's on that one, you say, okay, yeah, I like that. Press pause, and then you're good to go. You're just gonna listen to this station. So here, you can change from the radio up to music. So right now we have Bluetooth music. So it'll come from my phone. I don't know what's on there, so I'm gonna do that quickly. If you have something in a USB, you can plug that in. And the Bluetooth is here again. It's just saying it doesn't know. So there's also on the steering wheel, there's a source button and you can change those sources, but if you wanna do it from this is how you do it. These are volume, as well as on the steering wheel. Navigation also in Bermuda does not work because again, we don't have our own onboard internet. Voice command, as I said, there's a couple ways to get her to wake up and listen to you. One of them is by saying the command. I'm not going to say it. You can also just press this.
I'm here.
Open all windows.
Okay, window has been opened for you.
There you have it. Hey Proton.
I'm listening.
Close the windows.
Okay, the window has been closed for you.
So again, if I wanted to do this.
I'm here.
I'm hot.
Adjust it to your min temperature.
So those are kind of the basic things that you can do. You can get her to make a phone call for you. You can get her to turn the AC up or down, close or open the windows. You could try pretty much anything because that's her main things, but I guess it's a bit like Siri. You can ask her to do anything. Here we go to the 360 camera. When you go into reverse, this is going to come onto the screen automatically, but you have the option of putting it on here. So right now you can see that the front camera is lit. If I push the back camera, I can see what's behind us, or I can push any of the wing mirror cameras. So you can turn this on. This is your 360 and it's made up of all of the cameras around the car. So it's quite handy if you're in a tight spot. So if you're in a tight spot and you're driving slowly, you can turn it on from here. There's also another way to turn it on that I'll show you. And you can get through it. Also, if you slow down and put your indicators on, it will show you the side of the car that you want to see. This is to show both fronts and both backs. This, is if you want the guidelines. So if I put the car in reverse, there's guidelines. So you can turn them on or off like that, and they actually move with the car, and you can see the guidelines on the 360 view and in the rear view camera. And then not in the front, but you can, when it's on the front, you can kind of see where the car is going to go, or if they bother you can turn them off. So underneath the center console, there's your regular, like what used to be a cigarette lighter under there under a flap, but right here is a USB port. So this USB port is for data. So if you're going to use QD Link or plug your phone in for charging also, you plug it in under there. And then the nice thing about it is you can just tuck your phone under there and you're good to go. When you're using this QD Link, what it does is it becomes a reflection of your phone essentially. So you can use Google Maps, Waze, a bunch of that stuff. If you have an Android, you have to just go to the Play Store and download QD Link, the app. It looks just like that. If you have an iPhone, you don't have to download anything. You just plug it in and then press QD Link. And then it's just going to take a minute to connect. So this is what QD Link looks like. So you can have your music, all of that, or you can have your apps. I've added WhatsApp. So if you had Waze or if you had Audible, you can say whatever app you want, it can go onto that home screen. So it really is kind of like just a reflection of your phone, and you can choose which things you want to be there. I mean, I guess Zoom if you wanted, let's just say, for argument's sake. And so now that's on my QD Link. You can also use your Google Maps. But you see how it is a reflection of your phone, so you can rotate your screen. No thanks. And then you have your Google Maps. So that's all with QD Link, the app, if you have an Android, or just plugged in if you have an iPhone. And you need to use your phone, the data from your phone for that to happen. And the phone has to be plugged in to use QD Link. But you don't need to use it. You can just use the regular Bluetooth for your phone, your music, all of that stuff. It's just an additional option. The last thing on this page is this Joox music. Again, that's the internet music when the car has its own internet. This next page is just, if you wanted to, you can put a USB in and put your own photos, videos, and this is the themes. So if you think of this just like a phone, you can change the wallpaper with your own picture if you wanted to, your screensaver, and that's where they would all show up. But that's your basic home screen right there, and that is pretty much all of those features. One of the important things on this head unit is settings. You can control several things from the settings. So settings has all of these different tabs. So we're going to start with vehicle. There you have it. If we click on light, headlight delay off. So when you turn off your car and it's dark, you can have your lights turn off after 30, 60, or 90 seconds. So it depends on kind of how far away from your house you park and stuff like that. 60 or 30 is normally good. 90, you might be looking at your car thinking, when is it ever going to turn off? What you do is once you turn off the car and turn off the things, you pull this once, and then it'll either stay on for 30, 60, or 90 seconds. Safety. So as you heard when I was doing the door, when I was locking and unlocking the car, the horn and the lights were going off. Most people don't want that. If you do, you can, but most people are pretty happy with just having the lights so you don't announce to the neighborhood that you're home. So auto close window, all of these, if it's a little green light, that's actually just a switch. So this is if you've gotten out of the car You're starting to walk away. You realize that you've left the back window open. When you lock the car, if this feature is turned on, it's just going to close all of the windows automatically for you, so you don't have to turn the car back on and do it, which is kind of a nice feature. But again, if you don't want that, you can turn it off. And then we have comfort, auto fold door mirrors. You can turn that off if you want to. Remember, you can also turn it off in this little drop down. Rear wiper linkage. You can turn it on and off. All that does is, if your windshield wipers are on and you go into reverse, your rear one will come on for you. So it's not that deep, but it is nice that you don't have to worry about it. But it won't just come on by itself. And you can also turn it on separately, but it's just something that'll happen. If you reverse, it'll turn on for you. System is just all of like the kind of computer stuff. So you can restore the factory settings and all of that, but there's not too much that you would need to go into there for. So that's the vehicle tab. Connect is what we actually did on the other screen when we went into Bluetooth. So we've got Bluetooth. Again, it looks exactly the same. If you wanted to clear my phone, you just do clear pairing and you can start again. You can obviously have a whole bunch of devices paired, but only one connected at the same time. Return wireless network. Again, unfortunately, this is not going to work. You can connect it to your hotspot. I've tried it, but nothing actually, you don't get anything from it. And personal hotspot is when the car has its own internet. You see, it had its own network, but in Bermuda, unfortunately, in the middle of the Atlantic, they can't make that work. Then we go down to audio. So equalizer, you can make this however you want it. You can do the bass. I'm going to turn the music up a little bit so you can hear this. You can adjust it however you want to. It also comes with some presets. So if you come up here, once I've moved it, it's custom or pop, rock, classical, whatever's your jam. It will automatically do what it thinks is best. But again, you can make it totally custom and do it yourself. Balance and fader. This is handy. So these are all the speakers in the car. So let's say that you have your annoying kids music and you don't want to listen to it. I can move it to just the back speakers. I can move it to just the front, just the left, just the right, or just kind of however you want. And if you're in the car, you can hear that it moves all around, or you can have it right in the middle, and that means all of the speakers are active. Or you can move it like that, but it's not quite as cool. And then we have display. It's another place where you can do screen brightness. As you can see, there's tons of places to do the same things. This is interesting. I'm going to turn the music down for this. So instrument theme linked with driving. You can have this on, or you can have yellow, red, and blue. A bit later, I'm going to explain the driving modes. There's Eco, Sport, or Regular. So right now, if you change to Eco, it's going to be green or blue or something like one of these. If I turn this off, I can change it. So I'm going to show you where I'm talking about. Instrument theme is talking about the color of up here linked with driving mode. The car comes with 3 driving modes: Eco, Sport, and just regular. Right now we're in regular. You can see that it's yellow. If I change to Eco mode, it's going to be blue. If I change to Sport mode, it looks totally different, and now it's orange. And like you can see, the whole speedo and everything changes to a more sporty look. So that's because right now this is linked to driving mode. If I turn this off, I can pick yellow, blue, or red. So it's totally up to you. If you happen to like I think that looks pretty cool. If you happen to like that one, you just turn off that it's linked to driving mode, and you can have it like that all the time. So these are all things that you just go through and you decide what makes the most sense for you. So this is the kind of end of this little control center right here. So for our AC screen, we have a couple of different things. So You can control the AC from down here or right on the screen. This would be your fan speed. This is the temperature, so towards cold or hot. And again, these are all, can be all slid like this. AC max, when you first get in the car, you can put it on and it is going to put the fans and everything as cold as you can go. It's loud. So these kind of piano key buttons are the same as what's up here. So if I push this button, that is your rear defogger. So you can see it there or you can see it there. Always, if there's a square, it's talking about your back windscreen. If it's curved, it's talking about your front windscreen. So that's your front defogger, and that's for the windshield wipers, for everything. So I can turn those off. This keeps the air circulating inside the car or from the outside. Again, there's a button for it down here, so however you want to do it. For your AC, it's generally better to keep it on circulating inside the car so you're not losing cold air and sucking hot air in that you have to cool down. So now you can obviously do fan speed here. You can either press mode or these little things, like in most cars, you can do your feet and these vents, or you can do just the defogger. In this one, you can change it all around however you want. So this is just these front vents, just your feet, or you can press mode and it does that as well. So it looks a little different. AC max, and now there's auto. So auto, because we have it on low, is like your home thermostat on your AC at home. So if I wanted to leave it around 19 degrees, the AC is going to keep it there. You don't have to do anything. It's going to adjust the fan. It's going to adjust the temperature, all of that to keep it at that exact temperature. And then you can turn the AC off like that. And you can turn auto on from this button. So again, they're just the buttons or the touchscreen. You have a lot of options. Button to turn your hazard lights on or your emergency lights, whatever you call them. Down here in this little section, just like all the rest of them, you can take all of these little mats, rubberized mats, in and out to clean, which is a nice feature. Here we have your gear selector. It's similar to a gear selector in most cars, but it's also quite different. So there is still a button here on the side, on the bottom, but you'll see that it just flicks up and down. The car is in park at the moment. Right here will tell you what gear the car is in. So if I want to go from park into drive, I still have to push this button that's underneath, just like a normal gear selector. I pull it down and I put it into drive. So here it tells you where the gears are. There's also a manual mode, so you can come over to the side, and once it's here, you move up and down between M1 through M1, M2, and you can go and change gears yourself, but most of you, I'm assuming, will probably just put it in drive and the car will change the gears itself. If you want to go into reverse, again, you put your foot on the brake, you go up, that's neutral, and then go up again, and now we're in reverse. When we're in reverse, as I said, all of this stuff is going to come on, and you can see that you're in reverse up there. And then you'll see from here, strangely enough, there's no park. You can't put it into park, so that's what this button is. You push the button, and now you're in park. When you push that button, the parking brake automatically comes on. There's no big cranking parking brake. Like in most cars, it's an electric parking brake. So as soon as I push this, this comes on automatically. If I want to turn it off, you think of it the same way as a pull-up, push-down parking brake. So you would hold this down. You can hear the parking brake go off. If you want to turn it up, you hold it up and it'll come on. This is the automatic brake. Right now, it's not letting us do it because we don't have our seatbelts fastened and the doors aren't closed and whatever, but I'll just explain it. What this is if you are stuck in traffic and it's start, stop, you can put this on and you can take your foot off of the brake. so you don't have to hold your foot on the brake the whole time. If after 10 minutes you have not pushed the gas, the car is going to put the parking brake on. But if you're stuck in traffic and you've taken your foot off the brake, you have this on, you push the gas when you want to go, the car will go. Once you stop, it will be held in brake again. So this is just really for start-stop traffic. And then the indicator for this looks just like this, and it'll be up on the dash just like your parking brake. So here it will tell you that your parking brake's on, and when you're all securely done up in the car, a little A will come up that looks exactly like that. As we said, there are different driving modes for this car. There's Eco, so you can just touch that, and that's how you go into Eco mode. That conserves fuel, which is nice. Sport gives you a lot of power, so when you're driving, and you can change these while you're driving, you don't have to stop to do it. If you push Sport, you're gonna feel the power change. So if you had to go very fast for some reason, I suppose you could do that. And as we said, right now it's linked to the mode on the front, so they'll change colors, but that's totally up to you. This button is a hill assist. People, when it's pushed, it'll be up on the dash. It will see, it's a little green light that looks exactly like that button. You really are never gonna have cause to use this, but someone is gonna touch it. You're gonna email and say, why is there this little green light on? So what that is for is if you're going down a very steep hill, it will kick in the anti-lock brakes and it'll go doot, 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 doot down the hill. So if someone has accidentally put it on and you go down a steep hill, you're gonna get a shock. It's gonna be loud and it feels weird. So just, if you feel like you've run over a massive rock, check and make sure that that's not on. So what it does is it holds the brakes on. So if you were coming down a mountain or something, you can take your foot off the brake and it's gonna slowly let you down. Obviously in Bermuda, it's a bit extra, but it's there. So I have to show you what it is. This is how you turn on your 360 camera in a different way if you don't want to use the dash. If you're driving and you're turning or you're going through a small alley and you want to turn your 360 camera on, you can turn it on and off right there. And this lastly is your parking sensors in the front. Your back ones you cannot turn off, but if you're going somewhere in the front and you want to be able to hear if you're close, you can turn those on, but you can also turn them off if they annoy you. This little slot is for your phone, but we're not bossy. You can put whatever you want in there. Okay, and then this slides forward or back and then lifts up, and you have a little compartment down there to put all of your goodies in. It doesn't have a lock, so it doesn't lock shut. I think it's so that it can slide, so you can just pull it up. At the back of this console, you have 2 USB charging points. As you can see, it says charge only, and you have some vents which you can move around. You can't control the temperature or anything back here, but you can control where it hits you. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the steering wheel, the instrument cluster, all of that. So your left one is for your indicator, lights, and all of that. So obviously up and down for your indicator. And because we're sitting here, it's making the camera go on and off with the indicator. Here's your headlamps. Right now it's on auto. As I showed you, you can leave it on that. You never have to turn it off if you don't want to. But let's say you wanted to have your lights off all the time. So we start here as off. Just one click is your daytime running lights. 2 clicks is your actual, like, to have your headlamps on. And then there's auto. These little buttons, remember earlier I was referencing the rear fog light and the fog lights. So this top one is your front fog lights. And there's a little green indicator there to show you that those are on. And if I push the bottom one, it's an orange indicator, and that's for your reverse fog lamp. Again, will you ever need to use it? Maybe not, but at least you'll know what that light is if it's on your dash. To flash your high beams, you just pull it towards you. To put your high beams on permanently or until you turn them off, you just click it away from you. To turn them off, you pull it towards you. It's not like older ones that you feel the click and it stays in that position. It's just an electric switch, so you can just go back and forward. And then the last thing is the little button on the end of this control It's the trip button. And I'm gonna push this and we'll show you the dash. This controls a bunch of things on the dash, and it's literally just either a short push or a long hold. And we'll do what we'll show you. You have several options up here of what you want to see. So right now, it's on distance to empty of 687 kilometers. That's gonna change as the car learns how you drive. But it'll let you know about how long you can go before you need to get gas. Now, simply by pushing the trip button on the end of the switch that I just showed you, I can change it to journey time. So something like journey time, if I want to hold that button, it will zero it out. I push it to go to the next thing, average speed. Anything that's an average, I can clear that out as well. Here is your tire pressure sensors. So it tells you what your tire pressure is. Your trip meter, so if you wanted to measure how long you're going for a walk or something, again, long hold will clear that out. Average fuel consumption, all of these things, like you could leave it on that if you wanted to, how much we're burning currently, and then back to distance to empty. So the trip button on the end of the left hand up and down switch is what controls all of those. Just this one. So it's short pushes or long holds. Okay, so just the basics of the instrument panel. Here you have your temperature gauge. You have the little red person to tell you to do up your seatbelts because we're sitting here and we don't have them done up. Here you have the car with the 2 red seats. So you can see that we're sitting there. Oh, I just leaned forward. So we're sitting there and our seatbelts aren't done up. If your bonnet was open, it will be red to tell you that your bonnet's open. If your boot's open, same thing. If I open any of the doors, it will tell me. So that's your kind of overall car alerts to let you know what's going on. Here's your odometer. Obviously, if you change this to a different kind of display, like the sport mode or whatever, this will read a bit differently, but it's all kind of there. And then over here is your gas gauge. Right now it's full. It's very stylized. So just to get used to, those little bars will drop. And then as always, if you look at the little gas thing that you get the gas from, there's a little arrow to remind you when you go to the gas station, your gas door's on that side. And with a new car, that's normally helpful. So your right-hand side is for your windshield wipers and your water. So again, curved means your front windscreen, square means your back. So there's a little arrow. If you want water in the front, you pull it towards you and water will come out the front. If you want it to come in the back, you push it away and the water will come out the back. For your windshield wipers, one is intermittent, and then this is your intermittent speed, which I find is normally more helpful than kind of low and high. So you can change how the intermittent speed. And then up one more is a constant low. Up one more is for torrential downpour. On the end of this is a switch. So just like a wall switch. Up is to turn the rear windshield wiper on. Down is to make it intermittent. And in the middle, neutral is off. Tons of people will put it down and then call and say, my rear windshield wiper just keeps going off all of a sudden. So that's what it is. Make sure it's in the neutral position and you won't have that problem. On this side of the steering wheel, we have this, which is cruise control. You don't need that in Bermuda, obviously, and this is to set the cruise control. But if you ever see a little light on your dash that looks like that, it's just because you've pushed that. So push it again and it'll go off. This is the third and final way to make her answer you and do voice commands. You can either push it up there, say her name, or push this. This is to answer or hang up the telephone. You can also do that from the screen when the phone calls comes in. And this is a limiter. So what this does is you can set a limit on the speed of the car. When you do that, let's say you set it at 50 kilometers an hour. As the car approaches that speed, you'll start to feel that you don't have as much gas so that you can't go past that. If there was an emergency, you needed to go past it, you keep your foot on the gas and you can go above that speed, but it's just to kind of help you stay in that speed range. So if you push it once, it will come up here and it'll say, down here, it's grayed out. So it's just kind of woken it up. Then you can set it to the speed that you want. Sorry, I'm just pushing the button. There we go. So now it's on 30 kilometers. When it's green, it means that it's active. So we can set it to whatever we want. Okay, like 42 kilometers an hour, that's great. So you know that it's on because it's green and it's lit up. If I push it again once, it grays out. So it's set. If you wanted to turn it back on, you could, but it's grayed out, so it means it's not active. If I push it again, the grayed out thing will even disappear, and that's not something that's gonna happen. So this next side controls a lot of stuff. If you push home, it'll send your center unit, like the screen, to your home screen. This can mute the radio if you need to mute it. You just put that on. These buttons depend on what you're using. So if I was listening to music from my phone, these will switch through the song. This is the volume. If I was listening to the radio, this is to change radio stations, and again, the volume. Mode is like a source button. So if you wanted to switch from your USB stick music to your phone music or to the radio, you can press mode, and it's just, think of it just like a source button. Now this is a very important piece of this car. A lot of the settings are here. So I've pushed these little 2 squares, and what it's done is up here, you can see a car. So it's gonna do a bunch of car settings. This car settings are literally the exact same thing that we went through with the indicators. This is just another way to change them. And what I'm doing is scrolling up and down with what is sometimes the volume, or left and right? So that's those. And then if I push that little button, if I push the side button, now it's gonna take you to alerts. Right now there are no alerts. You don't have a flat tire, everybody's seatbelts are on, it's happy. But if there's any of those things, it will be in there. If I push to the side again, then it'll display what radio station I'm on. And then Bluetooth, it can tell you who you're on the phone with or all of that stuff. Push the side again. Navigation, we don't have navigation, so we don't need that. But now we have settings. Settings is a pretty important one. So this up and down button is also, you can push it to select, okay? So there's a whole list of things in vehicle settings that you control from here. So there says vehicle, I'm gonna press select. EPS mode switch, I'm gonna select, again, by pushing it. Now, drive mode linkage. I can either have driving mode in comfortable, normal, or sport. Right now, it's on drive mode linkage, so if I'm in sport mode, the steering is heavier, it's sport steering. If I'm in eco mode, the steering is much more light, and it's for that mode. Or there's normal mode, which is when you're in normal mode, you'll have a normal kind of in between steering heaviness. If you decide that you like to have heavy steering all the time, you can scroll down to that, push the button as enter, and then you can pick sport. But if not, it will just leave it on that. So to come out of any of these, you have to go all the way down to return and press enter. So now I'm gonna go to overspeed alarm. You can enable it. Right now, if you go over 120 kilometers, it's gonna give you an alarm. So I think we should probably set that to something more reasonable, like even 60. So right now it's on, and if you go over 60, it's gonna be like, ding ding, you need to stop. Come out of that, we get onto volume. So in volume, high, medium, or low, you can, why you would want to control that from right there, I don't know, but you can. Distance to next service is so your first service is due, we do 1,500, that's just a basic free one, then we go over everything, but your next one is due at 5,000, so you have 4,977 kilometers left. Return. Language, I'm assuming it's gonna be English, but if you wanna change it, you press enter and you can go through the languages. Navigation setup, again, we don't have navigation, so we don't need that. So then we go to return, and that is everything under vehicle in this setting. Now we have trip computer. Tripometer, again, all of these things are the same things that are controlled here. So the average speed, the tire pressure, all of that stuff. There's just another place you can get to it. Okay, now we're gonna go into time mode. We have it on 12 hours. Some people like 24. You can do whatever you want. Don't forget, you have to keep going to return to come back to that. date, you select the year, and then you're using left and right to change those. The clock, to change the clock, again, left and right, you can change AM, PM, return, and then we can come out of that. So that's everything in time. And then we go to unit. Temperature, and bring it up. If you want to have Fahrenheit, you can change everything to Fahrenheit. It does not change the air conditioner. So the air conditioner is still set at 19 degrees Celsius. Temperature is just to tell you what the temperature inside the car is. So you can see right now it's 78 degrees inside the car. Pressure, we do PSI in Bermuda, so PSI is probably the best one to have it on unless you understand what bar is. Mileage and fuel. So also we do services and everything by kilometer. So you can do how many kilometers per 100 liters, or you can do miles, MPG, but again, that's all personal preference and you can go through and change it. And then we press return, and that is the end of those controls. Okay, so here is the instrument panel in the executive model. You can see that it's not electronic like the other one. So here you have your revs. All of these things are the same, so you can have this to display whatever you want. You access it the same way on the steering wheel. Here's your speedo, obviously that doesn't change, and your fuel gauge is down here. Again, it tells you which side the gas tank is on right there. And if you have it changed, so right now that's an eco, you can see that it's blue or yellow or orange. So that's the only big changes when you change driving mode. But even though this looks different, all of the features and all of the things that you can control on the premium version, you control right there as well. Thank you so much for choosing us and for trusting Rayclan. We hope that we live up to all of your expectations for the life of your car and beyond.